Lola, alam mo ba, ayaw pa rin mag-school ng friend kong si Brian.
Ng mga bata tulad mo.
I'm Ryan Alvin Torrejos, and I work as a teacher at German European School, Manila. Pursuing teaching as a profession was serendipity.
I was inspired by one of my teachers when I was in elementary.
There is this sense of fulfillment when I can influence
the positive changes I see in their lives.
I think the pandemic has affected my job as a teacher.
I have to make a lot of adjustments,
which we didn't expect.
And suddenly, we were pressured
to go out of your comfort zone, which is the four corners of the classroom, and do things you've never expected to have done in the past.
It is so hard to make a great connection to my students without being physically present beside them.
Hindi ka sigurado kung naintindihan ng mga bata ang kanilang mga lessons. Where I'm from, not all are able to do virtual classes, and so this will really be difficult for us As teachers,
Hindi po ako maalam sa computer. Hindi po ako maalam sa ibang mga platforms.
So kailangan naming matuto ng mga different apps at different softwares para magawa namin ito.
Marami po akong mga pinanood ng mga webinars. Isa na po dito yung webinar ng Canva. Ang Canva ang gumagabay sa akin upang lalo akong maging malikhain.
It is a tool which has all that I need, that helps me.
Create beautiful designs in the shortest time possible.
There are lots of animated pictures, stickers, and it made my lesson presentation more exciting.
There's just limitless possibilities.
The templates, there's always something new to match what you need.
A fun way to create lessons.
Halos nilalaro ko lang siya. Ginagamit ko siya ng paiba-iba at kung ano po yung effective.
Kapag kakailanganin kong gumawa ng mga instructional materials,
lesson plans, activities,
mga presentations at short videos.
ay meron akong Canva na masasandalan.
It has changed the idea that you cannot teach properly if you're outside the classroom. You can, with the help of visually appealing designs, with the help of engaging designs.
Kung sakaling ma-invite ko na ang mga bata sa Canva class, i-encourage ko silang mag-explore.
I can do collaborative activities for my students using it.
The students really feel like kasama pa rin nila yung mga teachers nila, tuwang-tuwa yung mga bata.
Canva is absolutely making my job easier.
It has helped me now, and I think it will help me even more in the future.
Sa pagiging miyembro ko ng Canva for Filipino Teachers ay ipinakilala ko sa aking mga kapwa-guro upang pasukin din nila ito.
I would still be using Canva even when students are allowed back into their physical classrooms. I would still be using Canva for years to come, and I would still be using it for the same things that I use it now.
para ma-excite silang pumasok sa araw-araw.
They will love it.
I would definitely recommend Canva to all my co-teachers and all the other teachers I know.
It is truly a gift because hindi mo hiningi, binigay sa'yo.
Alam ko na ang Canva ay magiging malaking parte ng inyong buhay.
Happy Friday everyone! Kumusta po ang unang biyernes ng December ninyo? I hope everyone happily ended the month of November last Monday at nagtuloy-tuloy po ang good vibes until today. Today is the 4th episode of our Canva webinar series for teachers. At ano man po ang inyong hashtag today, be it Friday, Feel Good Friday, or Productive Friday. Thank you for joining us. Thank you sa mga nanonood ngayon sa DepEd Philippines Facebook page. And once again, I am Rigo Tumaneng of DepEd Public Affairs Service. At dahil second to the last episode na po ang webinar series natin for today, maybe later on, you can also share sa comment section yung mga experiences ninyo since you started using Canva, or kung ano yung journey nyo mula nung in-apply nyo yung mga natutunan yung tips from the first discussion or first lecture ng ating mga kaibigan from Canva Philippines. Today po ay may magbabalik at may bago rin tayong makikilala. Well, I think yung isa magbabalik na makakasama namin for webinar, but hindi po siya nakasama din sa first 3 episodes. But He already joined the webinar for our RIOs and DIOs last month. No, like what I said, there will be two speakers from Canva. But before I introduce our first speaker, let me also thank our friends from Canva Customer Happiness Team who's working behind the camera, and of course my colleagues from the Public Affairs Service. From Canva Customer Happiness Team, we have Sir Shardy and Miss Claire this afternoon. And sa Public Affairs Service, we have Zoe, we have Jansen, and we also have Kuya Manny. All right. So it's 5:07. I think I can check later yung mga comment po ninyo. But let me give you a brief background who is our first speaker for this afternoon. He is Mr. Cheryl Mengilio. He is a learning specialist in Canva who believes in the value of continuous and impactful learning. As a learning specialist, he helps design learning materials and courses to help Canva employees maximize their potential. So for today, for sure, yung lagi nga nating sinasabi na yung message ng Canva that everyone is a graphic designer, everyone is an artist, so they are here to give some tips para po ma-enhance yung ating mga potentials. Good afternoon and welcome back, Sir Jeriel.
Ayan, hello po. So ako po ang nagbabalik.
Yes, nagbabalik.
Ayan, sabi ni Sir Rego. Oo. So, yeah, hello and good afternoon. Almost good evening to all our teachers across the Philippines. Ayan, I am Jeriel. And yeah, I'm going to be one of the speakers today. And I'll be introducing what this session is going to be about. Ayan, hello po ulit sa lahat.
Yes.
It's nice to be back.
Yes. Sana pwede bang after ng 5 series webinar na to, baka pwedeng monthly or matrabaho masyado.
Tapos ako lang. Tapos chika lang ako sa mga teachers via webinar. Ganyan.
Oo nga. Pero anyway, sir, is this your first time na mag-lecture sa mga teachers, for our teachers?
I think parang yes and no. I was part of yung unang-unang webinar that we had with DepEd. I think mga May. I was part of that first team. And then, but ito yung first parang lecture that I'm gonna be doing. Kasi noong una parang lang ako doon parang moderator yung role ko noon.
See. Okay, yeah. Because the first episode na hinost natin, this 5-part webinar series, if I remember it right, part of my introduction is yung background ng Canva, that 90% of the designs are made or are designed by Filipinos, and yun nga, a lot of the comments talaga, our teachers are aware about the Canva for Filipino Teachers Facebook page, ganyan. So I think they're really eager to learn more about the topic this afternoon, which is how to prepare presentation to impress. So you may now start, Sir Cheryl.
Thank you, Sir Rego. Okay, let me just share my screen. There, hopefully everyone can see that. Yep. Okay. So again, hi po ulit. Magandang hapon. I am Jeriel, and I'm one of the learning specialists that we have here in Canva, Manila. And together with Midas later, we're going to be giving information on how you can make your presentations truly impressive. And I'm sure as teachers, as educators, this is something very close to all our hearts. And it's also a very meta to present about presenting. So this is going to be an interesting hour for all of us. So yeah, there's 3 key things that's going to happen today. So we're going to discuss why impactful presentations are needed in the first place, elements that we can all apply to make our presentations impressive. And later at the end, we'll also have a short Q&A. But if you also have questions, you can leave them through the comment section on FB. And like what Sir Rego mentioned, we have our team, our social team also who will answer your questions there. Ayan. So I think why this topic is very close to my heart is because as a learning specialist, most of my day is spent around presentation. So delivering presentations, designing presentations, planning presentations. It's really, like around the clock presenting. And good thing, I have, a remaining 1% para huminga, uminom ng tubig, magmuni-muni ng konti, and then back to presenting. So there's really, I know how valuable it is. I hold in very high regard the art and the science of presenting. So I'm also a student right now, and presentations really are part of my everyday. And I invite all of us right now to think of our own personal answers in this question na nasa slide ngayon. So why do presentations need to be impressive? Again, going back to our roles as teachers, as educators, presentations also are part of our life. And we can even change this question and replace the adjective to why do presentations need to be persuasive? Why do they need to be convincing, engaging, or good? So think of your own answer to this question, and hopefully, as we go through our session today, we'll touch on some of your answers. For me, my personal internalization, my personal realization with all the experience I've had presenting is this. So to present is to communicate, and to communicate is human. So I always see presenting as a crucial human exercise. So whenever we present, well, we always wish to educate our students, our audience, make them reflect on ideas, and also to connect with them. And that's why each presentation is an opportunity to connect human to human. And since it's a human activity, it should be nothing less than meaningful and persuasive. And since it's a human exercise, it's a human activity, we want to preserve life when we're presenting, and we want to avoid death by PowerPoint. So if you're familiar with the term, with the concept of death by PowerPoint, it's something that we don't want our students to feel whenever we're teaching or whenever we're presenting. So hopefully the things that we're going to discuss in the session will help us avoid that death by PowerPoint experience. Okay, so I'm going to show a couple of slides, and feel free to share what you think of them. We'll also see via Facebook what you're going to say. So let's start with this one. Okay, di ba napaka-colorful nung slide. Okay, yellow. So I guess this is a slide showing why bees are awesome or are wonderful. Okay, tapos meron pa mga bees sa baba. So what do you think about this? And then here's another slide showing how rivers are formed. So mga anyong tubig, kunwari. And then, so we have a picture of a river in the background, and then like bullet points of descriptions in front. And then lastly, it's similar to the previous one. So we have a car, and then like 2 paragraphs. Ganyan siya. Okay, so what do you think? Like if you're the audience, if you're the student, and then this is the slide that you see, what will you feel? What will you do during the presentation? And to be honest, I'm also guilty na before. This is how I used to design slides, how I used to create presentations. But syempre, through experience, that these are not very effective. And I'm seeing comments around text visibility, right? Minsan hindi mo na nga siya maintindihan kung ano yung gusto sabihin because there's so much happening on the slide. So again, these are the things that we want to avoid as presenters. So there are 4 crucial elements in creating an impressive presentation. And those 4 are the visual elements, storytelling, delivery, and strategy. So In the scope of this presentation, we can't discuss all four, but we will focus on two. So we'll focus on the visual elements, which I'm sure you've already learned some in the previous episodes in this webinar series. And then hopefully something new are the storytelling elements. So yeah, and so we'll start with the first one, and I'm gonna be back later, so I'm gonna pass on and turn over to our next speaker, and queuing ulit Sir Rego for the introduction. So I'll see you po ulit later.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Cheryl. And yes, later makakasama pa rin natin si Sir Cheryl for the other parts of the lecture. But now we have another friend from Canva. He is Midas Savior. Did I pronounce it right? I think. No. Since October 2019, he has been with Canva as a customer specialist. He's trained in all specializations from billing to tech support and even print. While he empowers Canva's wide community of users, he is also known for being the social media manager of the Philippines' largest travel group, DIY Travel Philippines. Mukhang may maganda pa tayong tip, no? For travelers, mga backpackers. Yan. Well, now, but before we get to know more of the tips siguro pagdating sa travel, he will be giving us, or he will share some tips also about Canva design. So, good afternoon, Sir Midas.
Hello, good afternoon po.
Good afternoon, sir. Kamusta po ang Friday or December natin?
Okay naman so far. Stay at home.
Ito yung unang gift na binigay mo, like Friday with teachers dito sa webinar series.
Yes po.
How does it feel to be part of the webinar series for teachers po?
Sobrang it's an honor kasi syempre alam naman natin lahat ng sacrifices, yung hirap ng mga teachers natin, especially ngayon na everything is virtual, everything is online because of the pandemic. So sobrang honored ako. And thank you then for giving Canva a chance para matulungan din lahat ng mga teachers natin today. Or yeah.
Yeah, tama nga because yun nga sa implementation ng modular distance learning na nababanggit na rin natin in the previous episode. We really need to make sure that all of our materials are engaging, our materials should be creative, and we really thank our Canva friends who are part of this webinar. So you can now start, Sir Midas.
All right, thank you. So let me share my screen. Hold on. There. Can everyone see my screen now? There. So good afternoon everyone, or magandang hapon. So today we will start with design and visual. So nabanggit nga ni Gerald kanina, in creating an impressive presentation, there are two elements or two topics that we will be discussing right now. So first is yung visuals or design, and second will be the storytelling part, which Gerald will tackle on later. So today I will be discussing how design and visual can affect yung paggawa nyo ng impressive presentation. All right. And next slide. There. First of all, again, I am Midas. And thank you ulit sa lahat ng mga teachers natin na nakatutok dito sa webinar natin. And pagsubaybay sa mga previous episodes on how to create designs or how to create presentation. I'm sure marami tayong matututunan today. So I am Midas again, and I'm part of the customer happiness team of Canva. So what I do, I assist people who needs help in using Canva to create designs and presentations. There. So nasabi niya kanina na design is a creative way of communicating. So sa pag-create ng presentation, we have to think like a designer. So, 'di ba? Kung meron kayong mga kakilala ng mga graphic artist or graphic designer, you can ask them. So, kapag nagki-create sila ng design, lahat ng contents ng design nila, let's say yung text, yung color, yung image na nandun, everything in there has a purpose. So lahat yun may sabi kung bakit nilagay nila sa lower left yung font or sa upper right, lower left yung text or sa upper right yung image. So lahat siya merong may designation, may purpose. So yun din yung kailangan na maging mindset natin sa paggawa ng presentation. Next. So, in creating presentation, meron tayong 4 elements that we need to consider. First, we have color, we have text, we have imagery, and layout. And we will be discussing it one by one. Let's start with color. There. So medyo ito review lang dun sa mga previous episodes na napanood natin dito. You can type in your answer dun sa comment box natin in Facebook Live. So this is a question. Complement of colors and using difference of lighting is called what? A, color wheel. B, color contrast. C, color palette. D, color picker. Sige, you can type in your answer. Yan, so may mga sumasagot na. There. So the correct answer is color contrast. So in creating a color contrast dun sa presentation nyo, it helps you control kung saan yung focus nung students nyo dun sa actual slide or sa presentation nyo. I will show you a sample slide here. There. So, anong masasabi nyo sa slide na to? Again, you could type in your answer dun sa comment natin. So, di ba? Ang observation ko dito personally is hindi siya easy on the eyes or masakit siya sa mata. Kasi masyadong light yung kulay, hindi mo alam kung ano yung kung malabo yung mata mo, hindi mo nga alam kung alin dyan yung text, di ba? So, what can you say about this naman? Di ba? This is better, I would say. So, by having color contrast dun sa presentation nyo, mas mafo-focus yung student dun sa lesson nyo. Kasi syempre, yun nga, pag masakit sa mata, mawawala sila sa focus, may istorbo sila, hindi nila maiintindihan kung ano ba yung talaga yung gusto nyong i-point out doon sa presentation. So by having color contrast, sobrang importante siya sa paggawa ng presentation kasi nga maganda siyang tingnan, and at the same time, kung meron kayong gustong i-highlight doon sa presentation, you could use color contrast for that. Next, additional color tips. Sa pag-create ng presentation or ng design itself, we have a standard rule. So it has to be 4 colors max. So kapag sinabi natin 4 colors max, isang light, isang dark, and 2 vibrant accents. Ito, I'm gonna show you some examples then. There. So makikita nyo dito for light and dark for 2 colors, for 3 colors, light, dark, and an accent. And then for 4 colors, light, dark, and 2 accents. So yung accent colors, ginagamit siya para emphasis dun sa color schemes na gagamitin natin on the design itself or dun sa presentation or slide natin. Okay. There. So, nabanggit naman dun sa mga previous sessions or previous webinars natin na ang goal ni Canva is to empower the world to design. So, we understand na hindi naman lahat sa atin is professional graphic designers or ganun ka-creative. That's why meron kami nito. You could go to www.canva.com/colors So meron kaming 4 na helpful tools dyan na pwede nyong gamitin in selecting the right color for your presentation or for your slides. So merong color palette generator, merong color palette ideas, merong color wheel, and color meanings. Kasi kung aware naman tayo na bawat kulay, merong ibig sabihin yan depende kung anong message yung gusto natin i-convey doon sa students natin or sa audience natin. Next slide. Yon. So, kapag nagke-create tayo ng presentation, minsan ito yung dilemma ko, ito yung problema ko dati. Like, ano ba yung gagawin kong background? Ano ba yung kulay na pipiliin ko as background? Light ba or dark ba? So, ito yung additional color tips din na mabibigay namin sa inyo. In creating a presentation, kapag dark background yung pinili nyo, mas madaling marerelax yung mata ng students. Tapos, mas makakatulong na mag-focus sila doon sa content or kung ano yung nakasulat doon sa presentation nyo versus doon sa light background. So, kapag ang goal nyo is to have all your students' attention na nandun sa slide or doon sa presentation, I suggest na dark background ang gamitin nyo. Kasi sabi nga dito, light background still focus from you doon sa presenter. Ito yung mga samples natin. There. So, dito makikita nyo, pinili niya black na background and then white font, blue background and then yellow font, so on. So, depende rin talaga sa preference nyo so long as i-follow nyo naman tong guide na to. And then next. So, ibig sabihin ba nun hindi na tayo gagamit ng light background? Actually, may purpose din ang paggamit ng light background sa presentation. So, I'm sure nung pag-click ko ng next slide, lahat kayo parang medyo na sa screen nyo or na-catch yung attention nyo. So, actually, yun yung purpose ng light background. For light background, pwede siyang gamitin sa mga transition slides or pages. Kasi ang goal nito is kunin yung attention ng mga students or nung audience nyo. So, parang magkakaroon sila ng idea na, okay, iba na yung topic. So, di ba? Yun yung main purpose talaga ng light background. And here are some examples. So makikita nyo dito, light background, white, and then black yung font, and so on. Alright, now let's go to text. So importante yung text sa pag-create ng presentation kasi kung hindi nila nababasa yung text doon sa presentation nyo, what's the point of having that presentation, di ba? Kasi wala naman silang maiintindihan or hindi naman nila mababasa. So, also in selecting the right font or the right text for your presentation, it helps you set the tone and mood na gusto nyo dun sa presentation nyo or dun sa session or sa klase nyo. Ngayon, a little review lang din tayo ulit about dun sa mga previous webinar episodes natin. There. So, Open Sans Light, Open Sans Extra Bold, and so on. These are examples of what? A, font pairing. B, font and back. C, font serif. D, font family. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng clue. Hopefully, walang pumili ng B. So we have Montserrat Hairline, Montserrat Light, and Montserrat. So there. Correct answer is letter D. So it's called font family. So font family, it helps dun sa consistency tsaka hierarchy nung presentation or slide nyo. Kasi mas maganda siyang tingnan, hindi siya masakit sa mata. Kasi 'di ba yung aminado ako dati, pag gumagawa ako ng presentation, wala pang Canva noon. Pag may nakikita kang magandang fonts, sige pili ka lang. O ito maganda to pang title, tapos pipili ka ng ibang font din. Lalagay mo dun sa body nung presentation or sa body nung text, 'di ba? Parang ang sakit niya sa mata. Nung naisip ko ngayon, na-imagine ko ano ba yung mga pinagagawa ko dati. So, Yun, kasi parang naano tayo sa pagpili ng fonts, nahihirapan tayo, most especially na yun nga, kapag wala tayong background sa designing or sa graphic design. Pero don't worry, kasi ang safest way sa pagpili ng font, kung hindi tayo familiar doon sa font pairing, like yung mix and matching ng fonts, yung iba-ibang klase ng fonts, again, the safest way is to go with font family. So as in, kapag font family yung pinili nyo, you're safe. Maganda siya tingnan for sure. And sabi nga dito, may pa-quote tayo dito na the best font choices are ones where the readers does not notice the font but the message. So, yun. Ito yung mga sample ng font family. So, we have Open Sans Light, Open Sans Extra Bold, Railway Thin, Railway Heavy, and so on. So kanina, nabanggit ko, 'di ba, ang text or font, it could convey or it could set the tone ng presentation nyo. So, I'm gonna show you an example here and let me know kung ano yung tingin nyo dun sa dalawang set of fonts there. So, nakita nyo ang message is hindi kita iiwan kahit kailan. So, merong two types of font. So, ano masasabi nyo dun sa first and dun sa second? Alright. So, ayun, nakita nyo naman, dito sa first, medyo pwede nyo siyang gamitin, let's say, Valentine's Day or greeting cards, mga ganun. Kasi di ba parang ang sweet na dating, like, hindi kita iiwan kahit kailan, di ba? Pero dun sa second part, medyo parang pa-horror na yung dating. Hindi na sweet siya tingnan. So parang nakakatakot na hindi kita iiwan kahit kailan. So, di ba? Parang merong sumusunod or humahabol sa'yo. So, yan yung sinasabi ko na choosing the right font kung gaano siya ka-importante. Kasi di ba nga, dun yung ma-express kung ano yung emotion or kung ano yung mood na gusto nyong iset doon sa slide nyo or doon sa presentation nyo. Alright. Next. Yon. So, ito, problema ko rin to dati. Like, gaano ba karami yung pwede mong ilagay na text doon sa title or doon sa header, and then doon sa body. Ito, depende pa rin sa inyo, pero this is just a guide. So, ideally, for header and titles, it should be 30 plus text. And then for the footnote, should be minimum 24 text. Kasi 'di ba for doon sa header natin or doon sa title, normally naka-bold siya or naka-highlight. So parang hindi naman siya maganda tingnan kapag sobrang dami niya, sobrang there. So, meron tayong mga examples dito na ipapakita ko sa inyo again. And then let me know kung ano yung tingin nyo sa mga slides na to. So, yan. Sinasabi niya, the art of florals, and the introduction to arranging. So, di ba? For me, this is okay naman. Anong tingin nyo? Like, ang ganda na, okay naman yung heading niya, okay naman yung contrast na sa text. So, ang napansin ko lang dito, dun sa text niya, parang masyado siyang wordy. So, kung ang purpose niya is like may gusto kayong i-highlight dito sa specific na topic na to, so hindi na siya nakita. So, hindi na na-highlight yung gusto mo na i-point out dito sa slide na to. Versus this. Diba? So inomit or tinanggal na yung mga flowery words, speaking of flowers. So tinanggal niya yung mga ibang text or ibang words. Ang ni-retain lang niya or ang iniwan lang niya is yung mga gusto niyang i-highlight dun sa topic na yan, which is okay din. Kasi 'di ba, dun sa itong slides na to, may mga content naman siya na kailangan din talaga. So, kapag ganito yung ginawa nyo, you could use those contents or those words na tinanggal nyo as a talking points sa presentation nyo. Diba? Hindi katulad nito. Siyempre kung ako yung estudyante na medyo tapos titingnan ko ang haba naman yan, nakakatamad basahin. Parang gano'n, diba? Yung dating. So, kapag ganito, yan. So, makikita agad nila yung gusto mong i-highlight and at the same time, makakapag-discuss ka pa about the topic. Another slide. Here. So, okay. So, nag-increase daw yung engagement nila ng 98%. Yan. So, eto rin naman, this is okay din naman. Like, maganda naman yung yung hierarchy nung layout niya, nung text. Okay naman, naka-bold yung gusto niyang i-highlight and all. Now, compare natin dito. Diba? So, mas yung dapat na yung dun sa buong thought nung presentation, mas na-highlight siya. So, mas nabigyan ng focus na ito nga 98% yung increase ng engagement. So, 'di ba? Alam mo na agad kapag nabasa mo or nakita mo yung presentation, alam mo na kaagad kung ano yung topic or kung ano yung discussion. Alam mo na agad na it's all about the increase in engagement and yung numbers. Alright. Next, we're gonna go to imagery and graphics. So sabi nga dyan, show, don't tell. So meron tayong mga cases kasi na kailangan natin gumamit ng images, not all text. Another review. So 'di ba? Parang nakakatawa. Ako ngayon yung nagtatanong sa mga teachers. Normally kasi yung teachers yung mga nag-a-ask sa atin ng questions. There. So, what is not an example of proper use of imagery and graphics? So letter A, overlaying a photo with a paragraph of text. B, utilizing clear space. C, turning words into diagrams. D, using contrast in text. Again, yung answers na pwede nyong i-type dun sa comment box natin. All right. So the correct answer is letter A. Overlaying a photo with a paragraph of text. So, di ba? Ako guilty ako dito dati. Naalala ko nung gumagamit pa ako ng tawag dito ng PowerPoint. So, ang gagawin ko, ang laki-laki ng image ko. Tapos, papatungan ko siya ng text. So, parang nawala na yung hindi mo na alam kung saan ka magfo-focus, kung saan ka titingin, kung ano ba talaga yung gustong iparating nitong presentation na to. And remember, a designer somewhere cries when you do this kasi sobrang murder to. Katulad na lang nito, eto, may mga ipapakita ko sa inyo examples din. Yan. So dito makikita natin na ang topic is health benefits ng watermelon. So, 'di ba? For me, okay naman siya. Maganda naman, like the thought is there. Okay din naman yung contrast, yung color. Pero I would do it differently para medyo mas lively, medyo mas mas engaging doon sa mga students natin. So, tingnan niyo to. 'Di ba? So, may image. Yan yung silbi ng pag-a-add ng image doon sa presentation. Kasi kapag puro, aminado naman tayo dyan, na kapag puro text lang, sa mga, 'di ba, kahit nga sa ini-skip lang natin yan kapag ang daming babasahin, ang daming 'di ba? So adding image dun sa presentation would make your slides or your presentation fun, engaging, masarap sa mata, masarap tingnan. Like this, 'di ba? Or you could do it like this din naman. So andun pa rin, health benefits of watermelon pa rin. Ito breakdown lang niya yung talaga yung mga talking points. So yung mga tinanggal niya na mga words or mga information, yun na, again, pwede nyo siyang gawing talking points dito sa discussion. Or you could also do this. Di ba? So, mas engaging. Parang ako pag nakita ko to, yung ganda naman ng kulay nun. And kung mapapansin nyo, balik natin sa color, andito pa rin yung color palette ng watermelon. Di ba? So, hindi siya nalayo dun sa watermelon. And then, ayan. Ito pa isa, sample slide. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na yung overlaying ng picture sa text. So nakita nyo dito, may image sa likod, sa background, pero nag-overlay siya ng text. Which is, ito okay lang kasi aside from dun sa text, meron pa siyang ginawang border or background doon sa text mismo that that made the text readable. Kasi imagine, kung wala tong purple na to or violet na to, di ba? Hindi mababasa ito. Most especially, white pa yung font niya. So, this is one way of doing it too. Kasi tingnan mo, sakto yung image, di ba? So, for lecture, speech, reports, tapos si Kuya nagsusulat. Alright. So, next, let's go to layout. Yan. Another question ulit. So, review, which text do we usually read first? So, kapag may nakita kayong announcement or presentation or slide, so ano yung una nyo nababasa? Binabasa pala. So, A, ones that have bigger font sizes. B, ones that are small and italicized. C, ones that have the same color same color as the background. D, ones that look like the other text. Yan. So again, type nyo lang yung sagot nyo sa comment box. There. So the answer is letter A, ones that have bigger font sizes. And I'm gonna show you bakit. Diba? Kapag meron tayo, yun nga, katulad din ng ibang presentation, kung ano yung naka-bold or kung ano yung malaki, yun yung una nating napapansin agad sa slides or sa presentation. And that is, yun nga, pasok siya dun sa hierarchy ng layout nung presentation nyo. So again, for hierarchy, it leads the eye and creates focus. Tingnan nyo tong slide na to. Left side, ito yung example ng no or pwede naman limited hierarchy. And then sa right side, ito yung great hierarchy. So kung i-compare natin, 'di ba? Sa left parang hindi mo alam ano ba yung gusto niyang Gusto niyang tingnan diyan. Pero dito sa right side, ang ganda ng hierarchy niya kasi una pa lang makikita mo all day library day, 'di ba? Tapos ang susunod mong babasahin, yun na yung paliit na siya ng paliit. So na-convey mo agad yung message or na-convey mo agad kung ano yung message or gusto mong i-point out doon sa audience or sa student mo kapag maganda yung hierarchy na ginawa nyo sa presentation or slide. Another thing is clear space. So sa layout ng design nyo, take advantage of the clear space. Diba? Yung mga images na pipiliin naman natin or mga elements na ilalagay natin sa design natin, hindi naman yan mako-consume or ma-occupy yung buong slide nyo. So take advantage of those clear spaces. Kasi yun nga, sabi nila, tawag dito, yung mga advertisers, normally ganito yung ginagawa kasi it creates parang yung feeling ng luxury. Kasi diba, pag tinignan nyo, medyo siya tingnan. Medyo social siya tingnan. There. And then next, syempre hindi lang tayo sa color may contrasting. So, meron din tayong contrast for text. So, ito yung mga guides or sample na pwede niyong gamitin as a guide kung paano mag-contrast ng text. So, first, ang ginawa niya, naglagay siya ng blue na background pero in-adjust niya yung transparency para somehow kita pa rin yung image sa likod and then nag-light siya na text. And then second one naman, niliitan niya lang yung background, sakto lang dun sa text. Tapos, yung blue background, and then ginawa niyang background yung image. And then yung third, ayan, inangat niya para kitang-kita yung image, and then nilagay lang niya sa baba yung text. And then yung last, ayan, buong slide niya, nilagay na ng blue background, nag-create lang siya ng frame para i-insert yung image para okay pa rin siyang tingnan. Okay. Tapos, eto gusto ko lang to i-highlight kasi nga guilty ako and I'm so thankful na ngayon alam ko na hindi talaga dapat gawin kasi nga sobrang murder to. Ayan, yung example din ni Zerel kanina, 'di ba? Ito yung overlaying of text dun sa background image. So, sobrang ang sakit niya sa mata. So, aside dun sa mga clear space, sa contrast for texting, contrast for text. So, ito rin yung pwede nyong sundan sa pag-create ng tawag dito ng sa layout nyo. Yung hierarchy ng layout. So, you could choose weight. So, meaning, yun nga, ginawa niyang bold yung word na stands out. Kung ano yung gusto nyo na mag-stand out dun sa text nyo or dun sa image nyo. Sa text dun sa presentation nyo. Or you could choose color. So, ginawa niya, hinighlight niya ng yellow. Or pwede rin namang size. So, nilakihan niya yung font size. Or you could combine all three. So, nakita nyo, naka-bold na siya, increase na yung font size, and at the same time, naka-highlight pa siya ng yellow. So, depende rin talaga sa preference nyo. And another one. So, dun sa layout natin, importante din to. Kasi dati problema ko to. Like, pag mag-create ako ng presentation na maraming font or may mga fonts, hindi ko alam, like, isa-center ko ba to o ile-left or right align ko ba to. So, ito yung pwede nyong gamitin sa as guidelines din. So, kapag yung text nyo is like 2 or 3 lines lang, we suggest na i-center nyo siya. Not just text, yung elements nyo rin. So, make sure all your elements align to the center perfectly. And then, kapag medyo mahaba naman yung text, mas ideal na i-left align siya. And with Canva, meron naman tayo dyang margin. So, hindi nyo na kailangan manually i-left align to. So, i-click nyo lang kung gusto nyo ba i-left or i-center align yung mga text or yung element dun sa presentation nyo. There. And lastly, ito ginagawa namin to kasi sobrang okay siya. Parang pag natapos nyo na yung presentation nyo, syempre, you have to check your flow. So dito kasi makikita mo, parang makikita mo yung bird's eye view nung entire presentation mo. So kapag ganito mo siya tingnan, makikita mo kung meron bang slide na off yung color dun sa ibang slide, meron bang hindi bagay na katabi nito, or sa design na hindi bagay na ganito yung design kasi yung sinundan niya light or yung sinundan niya dark or puro light background yung sunod-sunod. So ito yung masasabi namin tip na kailangan nyong gawin pag natapos na yung presentation nyo kasi very helpful siya talaga. There. Alright. There you have it. So to sum it up, sa pag-create ng impressive presentation, you need to think like a designer. Again, dapat lahat nga ng ilalagay nyo sa presentation nyo ay may purpose and may silbi. Oh yeah, may purpose and may silbi. That's the same. And aside from that, you have to consider all of these 4 elements that we've discussed. So again, that's color, text, imagery, and layout. Now, I'm gonna pass it on to Jerrell kasi he will help you create impressive presentation this time by thinking like a storyteller. Jerrell, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Midas. Okay. Hello. Ako po ulit. And again, I want to say hi to all our teachers na just started tuning in. So I'm gonna thank you, Midas, again for all the tips and tricks in terms of the design element. So the next part that we're gonna discuss in terms of how to create your impressive presentation is the storytelling element. So, telling a story. Ayan. So, I'm sure for us teachers, it's again, very close to our hearts because, teachers are natural storytellers and, most storytellers are also teachers. So earlier, I mentioned when I started introducing our presentation this evening, I mentioned how presentations are human activities, they're human experiences. So, then what's more human than stories? So all of us, right? All of us tell stories. Most cultures around the world tell stories. We tell stories of our day. We tell stories about our life. Yung mga gossip that we share, or even about the news. Again, most of our everyday um, revolves around stories. And in fact, in terms of your responsibilities and roles as educators, storytelling can also be seen as, it's the oldest form of education. It's an art as old as time. And by education, it's really both teaching and learning. And through storytelling, right, we're able to stimulate the minds of our students, engage with them, get them to participate in activities, and also hear their own stories. So there's lots of benefits around why storytelling is such an important skill that a presenter needs to have. So it promotes creativity, critical thinking, and so on. So I want to share a story of storytelling. So let's all say hi, and yeah, let's meet teacher Amy Schwartzbach Kang. Ayan. So this is a short story about her. If you also have heard of her story, so she's an English teacher. So ayan, shout out sa ating mga English teacher watching right now, who was asked to co-teach trigonometry at a public school in Chicago. So, di ba, it's also very interesting, an English teacher teaching trig. So, and also hello sa ating mga trig teachers here. So, syempre her challenge was really, teaching trigonometry was not her forte. So, how can she apply, the usual skills of, let's say, na very used by English teachers in, let's say, teaching trig? So she shifted from just letting students find the answer to asking them to tell the story of how they found the answer. So, students were asked to show how they got the answers by writing simple stories around them. So, hindi lang siya yung simpleng, okay, ito yung correct answer, check the next. She asked her students to tell the journey, the story of how they got their answers. So, she even created backstories dun sa mga characters and the math problems that she was doing in class. So it really promoted, a different kind of learning for her students. So what can we learn from teacher Amy's example? So una, English teachers can also teach trig. I guess that's one. But the other is that storytelling is a journey and a discovery, not only for you as the teacher, as the presenter, but also, and very much so, for your students too. So for both teachers and students, when we think in stories, when we communicate through stories, we give deeper meaning to the subject matter that we're talking about. Our message gets absorbed much faster, and we create more personal communication and connection because of it. But when we think of um, the scenarios, the interaction we have with someone or with some people, usually we always remember the stories that get shared and not so much about the details. So how can we use storytelling in our classrooms? So first is sharing personal experiences. So a key rule in telling stories is to give your audience an emotional experience. So you can share personal anecdotes, your own experiences as well. Because I remember one of one of our teachers back in high school who taught algebra. Sabay nito pala siya, nanonood pala siya ngayon, no? But yeah, I'm sure a lot of students can also relate na parang algebra probably is not their parang favorite subject. Um, but when he was teaching that subject to us, he also shared his own story of his own struggles and his own fear about algebra. Na parang it also wasn't his favorite subject, but um, he shared the story of how he conquered that fear, how he found his own practices to love algebra. So kahit paano, like we related to that story, very personal to him as well, and that kind of helped us have a different approach or attitude around algebra, or you can also any other subjects. So yeah, so sharing personal experiences are very helpful. Next is to introduce use storytelling when you introduce a new topic. So diba, like when you're reading a new chapter in a book or parang next episode in a series that you're watching, use storytelling to tie everything together. So parang when you look at it in a bigger picture, it creates a cohesive narrative na lahat, makes sense, lahat is connected. And lastly, you can also use storytelling to define new concepts or ideas, or introducing abstract ideas and concepts. Because sometimes using straight data and figures lang are not always effective for students to understand what it means. Parang, okay, pag nakita ko ng pie chart or numbers in it, like, what does that mean? So you can use storytelling through metaphors, for example. So um, how can the question that you want to ask yourself here is, how can your students imagine the idea differently? So yeah, so those are some of the ways that you can use storytelling in your classroom. So how can we make sure that our audience, our students, listen to our stories? So good storytelling, three things to remember when we're storytelling is one, a good story is immersive, right? So not it's not enough that we have a structure when we're telling a story. Like, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, and that's usually common naman to do. But an immersive story really takes the students, your audience, as part of that story. So right now, for example, for us teachers and educators, we can take advantage of the resources available to us online, right? No, it's not enough na you just speak or parang tell the story orally. You can also add um, music, background music, diba? Parang mas may mood. You can also play around with the visual elements, like what Midas was mentioning earlier. And you can even make them the character of the story that you're telling, right? So there are different features, for example, in Canva for education that you can try to really make your students part of the story that you're telling. So, for example, for the brainstorming designs that we have, you can even create the story together with your students. So yeah, that's a good way to make your stories immersive. Next is it relevant? So is it relatable to your audience, to your students? Diba? Hindi naman pwedeng kahit ano lang ang ikwento mo. Para naman sabi, okay, meron akong story that I told my class. So is it relevant to the subject that you're teaching? Is it relevant to the current experience of your students? Is it relevant to their age, to their grade level? So that's what we want to ask when we say stories should be relevant. Because it's easier for us to fill in the gaps dun sa knowledge of our students if it's familiar to them. So the more that they identify with the story, the easier it is for them to listen to it and syempre be persuaded by it. And lastly, it should also be reflective. So earlier in an earlier slide, I mentioned the storytelling is a journey, it's a discovery, may transformation that should happen. So it should be something that your students can reflect on, right? So what can they learn from the story that you shared, that you told? So what's the meaning to it for them? What's the change that you want to happen, right? So if in the relevant element um, of storytelling, it's a call to adventure kasi nga, diba, it's if it's relevant to them, they'll listen. The reflective side is your call to action. So what should they change after the story? So really, there's still so much more to discuss about storytelling, but I'm sure all teachers understand how important it is for us to create stories around the subjects that we teach. And I want to end with this quote that storytelling isn't just a way for entertaining audiences; it's a way of presenting ideas in a language that humans understand best. So truly impressive presentations are presentations where ideas are shared and stories are told. So to recap, again, something to change in us as teachers, as presenters is this. Um, Whenever you want to create an engaging, a persuasive, and impressive presentation, think like a designer and also think like a storyteller. Ayan, so that's it. Thank you, everyone. And I also want to use this quick um, avenue to promote all our social media pages. You can like us on Facebook. We also have a Facebook group specifically for our kind of for Filipino teachers. So we have a very lovely community of Filipino teachers there. So if you want to learn from each other, yeah, join the po kayo sa group. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. So ayan, I think this is an opportunity for us to have a quick Q&A for any questions. And also, thank you again to Claire and one of our social media team here in Canva who's been answering and responding to your questions and comments on Facebook. Ayan, yay, good job, Claire. So I think some of the questions also have been answered by her. Ayan, so any questions that you have? Sige, I'm gonna stop sharing na lang muna.
All right. Thank you, Sir Gerald, for the very wonderful discussion. May takeaway ako dun sa last. No, it's not the last slide. Here, the slide before the Q&A screen, yung setup, yung designer and then storyteller. I am a believer that teachers really have the power to relay information. They have the ability na yung content ng kanilang lectures ay talagang napaghandaan, but of course it would be very more special, very more engaging ang mga learning materials kung yung potentials nila to design is ma-enhance. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And yes, may mga questions din tayong pwedeng sagutin. But before that, let me just give a shout out to, pinahirapan ako ni teacher na to no? Kasi baliktad yung name niya. But I think her name is Eileen Saliva. Sabi niya, I love the quote, to present as life and to communicate is human. Yan. I think that's the first part of the webinar earlier. Then sabi ni Ma'am Cherry Clorion, sa Canva po, paano po ba mag-record ng voice tapos ilagay sa presentation po? I think this was answered sa comment section, but I guess I can call Sir Shardy or Miss Claire to answer for the benefit of our other participants. And we also have Miss Micaela. Andito na pala si Miss Micaela. Sir Shardy, who can answer? Thank you.
Okay, Sir Reg, medyo nagkaroon ako na exposure last time, so I would like to give the opportunity to one of our community team members who's been answering all your comments and questions dun sa ating Facebook page. So, si Miss Claire, pakisagot naman ng tanong ng isa sa ating mga teacher.
Tapos babasahin ko rin ba yung comment ni Miss Claire sa Zoom? Or just kidding. Kailangan po mag-on ng camera ni Miss Claire. Ayan. Hi, Miss Claire.
Hello po.
Magandang gabi.
Magandang
Merry
gabi.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas po. To answer lang po teacher's question, we have two options po. They can make use of our present and record feature, which they can find through entering the editor. Sa topmost part po, meron po doon present or download button. So they click on it and then select po present and record. So from there po, they can go to the recording studio and automatic po masaset up yung camera and microphone nila so they can start recording po while they're presenting. So another question din po and a clarification from teacher was if they are able to download their designs as MP4 or video. So this one I answered po through the comment section. So you can do this by clicking on the ellipsis po sa tabi ng button na yon. And they have options there to download as MP4 video. So from there, they can export their Canva design as in video format. Ayan. Maraming salamat po.
Alright. Thank you so much, Miss Claire. My other question din dito, though I answered this one earlier dito sa Zoom, no? Pero joke lang yan sa Zoom. Pero there's one question here. Na-screenshot po ni Jansen. Sabi niya, which is better, serif or sans serif? Yung nakakatakot, yung dalawang font style na ginamit ni Sir Midas. But anyone can answer from customer
Yeah,
happiness.
Midas, do you wanna answer?
Yeah. So, ang difference lang naman nila, wait lang. Yung sans, hold on. Yan. So, yung serif, parang ito yung old style na ginagamit na font. So, normally ginagamit to for print. And I could share my screen para makita nila yung difference if you like to. Yun nga. So, ito yung ginagamit for print. And normally, ito yung may mga buntot sa dulo. Kasi, since traditional nga siya, so nung gumagamit ng quill pa dati, so kaya nagkakaroon siya ng tail. Tapos yung sans naman, siya yung ginagamit na ngayon when it comes to digital or virtual na. So, mas ideal na gamitin yung sans kasi mas clear siya, mas readable when it comes to yun nga mga online designs or graphic designs online.
Yep, and yeah, if I can also add to what Midas shared, no, it also is parang relevant to what he mentioned about how fonts can contribute to the tone that you wanna share in your presentations, since serif fonts parang siyang formal. Remember, pag nagsusulat tayo ng mga papers, usually mga Times New Roman yung pinapagamit, ganyan. So, it has a more formal feel to it. And then sans serif, it's more casual, and it's more readable, well, actually compared to serif when doing it virtually. So it depends on what your topic is in your presentation. So if you wanna make it a bit lighter, more fun, I guess, for your students, I would personally prefer the sans serif fonts. But if it's something more formal, again, more academic, I guess, you can use the serif fonts.
All right. Thank you, Sir Midas and Cheryl. Pero dun sa example kanina na hindi kita iiwan, both both font style can be used dahil may dalawang daw yon. Dahil may dalawang, depende daw sa sitwasyon.
Oo. Pwede siyang, may meaning siya parehas.
Oo. Kasi every style may meaning. No?
Correct.
Okay. Well, eto, kanina din sa start ng webinar natin, I asked our teachers to share their experiences in case, kung ano yung journey nila since they started using Canva. But this caught my attention. This is a comment from Ma'am Mira Flor Peralta. Sabi niya, Canva po ang ginagamit ng anak ko para sa output niya sa paggawa ng Christmas greeting card. Thanks Canva sa madaming layout na pwedeng pagpilian. Sana may makuha tayong
Yes, thank you din po for using Canva.
Okay. Do we have other questions pa ba sa ating live stream? I guess kung wala na pong question, since like what was mentioned earlier, Miss Mika, Miss Claire, and Sir Shardy are part of the customer happiness team, and nakita niyo na kanina si Miss Claire. She's one of those people who answers your questions sa Facebook page. Maybe final words from Sir Cheryl and Sir Midas.
So I can start. I think just always try to play around with your presentation or with when you're designing in Canva. The best way to learn naman is always trial and error and through experience. So I think that's my tip for this Friday. Wow.
Alright. So for me naman, yun nga, yung mga sinabi namin.
Alright. Si Sir Midas naman po.
So ayan, yun nga po, yung mga diniscuss natin today, you can use that as your guidelines. Pero pagdating dun sa mismong actual design nyo, depende pa rin sa preference nyo. Kasi kayo yung mas nakakaalam kung ano ba yung gusto nyong, yung message na gusto nyong i-convey or i-relay sa mga students nyo. So, hopefully magamit nyo naman yung mga guidelines or yung mga diniscuss namin kanina. Thank you.
Ayan, ako naman. So para sa amin po ngayong Friday, maraming salamat po ulit mga teachers. Pang-apat na natin tong pagsasama-sama every Friday. So maraming salamat. Sana po marami kayong napulot dun sa mga discussion na binigay namin sa inyo ngayong gabi. At isa po yung request ko lang kung gumagawa po tayo ng mga presentations or like any designs na ginagawa po natin sa Canva, feel free to share it, i-publish nyo po yan sa inyong design, upload nyo siya sa Facebook nyo, upload nyo siya dun sa Canva for Filipino Teachers Facebook page, at gamitin po natin yung hashtag na CanvaLove. Kasi ang gusto po natin na mangyari dito is, gaya nga nung aming mission is to empower the whole world to design, i-share din natin. So since Christmas is the seasons of sharing, i-share natin yung mga designs na ginagawa natin. Pwede nyo din i-search, marami kami dyan ang mga Christmas card design. So since ngayon, maki-Christmas na, medyo malayo tayo sa mga relatives natin and sa mga loved ones natin, feel free to use Canva for all your Christmas card design, then publish nyo yan sa social media pages nyo. Maraming salamat po.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Shardy. Si Miss Mika.
Hi. Good evening to all our teachers who took the time to join us on our fourth webinar with and thank you also to the Department of Education for having us, for having Canva Philippines. Please also please follow the community that we have for teachers, Canva for Education, Canva for Filipino teachers, because there are great resources there that are for free for the teachers, and it will really encourage you to share your designs, because I think it's also by sharing your designs, it's another powerful way of learning. And this is already our fourth. We're looking forward also to meeting everybody on our last and fifth installment of the webinar series with the Department of Education. Again, I would really like to thank the Department of Education for having Canva Philippines. It has been our pleasure to be part of this initiative to empower our Filipino teachers.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Micaela. It's a pleasure also sa DepEd no, na makasama namin kayo sa initiative na ito, especially nga dito sa setup ng bago nating modular distance learning. Yan, sobrang malaking tulong talaga. And we hope this is not the last time. Bakit parang last episode natin? No? Pero anyway, gusto ko lang talaga din mag-thank you ulit sa mga taga-Canva. Ito yung mga si Miss Claire, si Miss Mika, si Sir Shardy. Sila yung mga regular nating nakakasama behind the scenes, and of course yung mga speakers natin na hindi naging maramot para mag-share ng knowledge po sa ating lahat. Thank you so much. Once again, if you have fellow teachers who weren't able to watch the live episode now, you can advise them to rewatch this episode, even the first to the third episode of the webinar. They can rewatch it through DepEd Philippines. Once again, thank you so much, Sir Cheryl, Sir Midas, Sir Shardy, Miss Micaela, and Miss Claire, and of course, sa mga kasama po natin sa DepEd Public Affairs Service, kay Kuya Manny, kay Jansen, and kay Zoe. Ako po si Rigo Tumaneng. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.